Hello everyone and welcome back. My name's dustinkreis, and today we're going to do another game discussion. We're going to talk about this game right here, Star Trek, for PS3 and Xbox 360. I think it's also on PC. I'm not quite sure on that. But yeah, I picked this up. When it first was announced, I was really excited about this because I am a huge Star Trek fan. I have loved Star Trek since I was a little kid. I prefer it to Star Wars. And, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, that was my Luke, Han, and, Chewie. Those were my boys, And when J.J. Abrams rebooted the new Star Treks, I know a lot of people really hate this new universe and these new movies, but I actually really kind of love them as well, because it takes the essence of what the original series was, and the characters, and just updates it for a modern movie-going audience. We can sit here and debate. Whenever I watch 2009 Star Trek and Into Darkness, I always am reminded of the line in Star Trek Insurrection where Picard says, "Does anyone remember when we used to be explorers?" And it does kind of miss out on that, but I feel like the characters, for the most part, do stay true to what I grew up with, and it's nice to see Star Trek get budgets that I think Star Trek warrants. The original movies were basically made on the cheap. They reused sets from the Next Generation, and duct tape and glue things together and make ships that way. So this new universe of Star Trek, I'm really excited about. I really love it, and I think they did an excellent job with the casting as well in these movies. But, so that's why I got really excited for this game when it first came out. And then the reviews started pouring in, and you know what? This is the one time I kind of have to give it to the reviewers. This is a licensed game, and as you know, with licensed games, they're kind of slapped together quick to make money because the movie's out, And while I think this has more thought going into it than other movie licensed games, it's still a glitchy, buggy mess. And, for instance, there was one time where, it's a co-op game, and there was one time where Spock just completely glitched out and would not walk. There's a thing you can do where you can command him to go somewhere to, take a position. He would not go. He just kept saying no, negative. And, he wouldn't do anything. So I finally said, screw it. I'm leaving him there, kept moving forward, and finally got to a cutscene where it finally pulled him back with me. But for a while there, it was kind of touch and go, because, well, we talk about the gameplay, we'll talk about why you need to have that second person with you. And then another kind of glitchy thing was, I was fighting a boss, and the boss had these little minions running around with him. And I killed the boss, and the cutscene started to go on. But the minions, I didn't kill all of the little robots that were flying around with this boss. And while the cutscene was going on and Kirk and Spock are just kind of standing there, chatting about what's going on, these enemies were sitting there blasting them in the face with laser blasts. So you'd see Spock talking about, this Gorn, and all of a sudden this laser blast would just fly across his face. And yeah, it's a buggy, glitchy mess, but I'm still having fun with it, and that's the thing. There is some frustration with the game due to the controls, but such is my love for Star Trek that I'm going to see this through just to kind of have some kind of fun with it, I guess. But let's go ahead and get into it and talk about it a little bit. Talk about the storyline. Takes place in between Star Trek 2009 and Into Darkness. And basically it's just another mission for the Enterprise. They're out trying to save this space station. And all of a sudden we find that the Gorn are making an incursion into our our galaxy here. And yeah, from that point on, the Gorn steal this powerful technology, and it's up to Kirk and Spock and the Enterprise to fly out and stop them from using it. And yeah, it's a good story. It sets it up well. I understand why they used the Gorn, and while I don't really like how they updated the Gorn, but I understand why they used it. I would have rather like the Andorians or something. I think that would have made a better game, and it'd be awesome to see how the Andorians are in this universe. But you know, the Gorn in the original series, you know, it seemed like more of an intelligent creature than it does in this game. In this game, the Gorn don't even wear clothes, which, if you're a spacefaring, you know, civilized society, you should have some kind of clothing on. And I understand, oh, they're lizards, they're big beasts, but I mean, Star Trek is always, there's rarely an alien in Star Trek that does not have clothing. It's kind of a weird nitpicky thing with me, but even the Gorn in Arena had an outfit on. But other than that, I think the Gorn are a pretty good sort of vicious enemy to fight. The big thing about this is the cast did the voice acting for this game. So in many respects, this does feel like sort of an in-between movie. And I like that about it, because Star Trek works best when it's on television. That's part of the problem with these movies, is that it's like you have one adventure with this crew, and then you wait 4 years, and here's the next adventure, and then you wait, you know, instead of it being week to week like what we're used to. So to see this crew kind of out and doing their thing is awesome in and of itself. I really like the character interactions. The writing is actually done by the same guys who do the writing for the movies. Robert Orkey and, I can't remember the other guy's name. But, and it really shows. It really shows in the dialogue and, you know, how the characters interact and things like that. It does feel like another movie storyline-wise. And that's really awesome. Where this thing kind of falters... Well, let's talk about the next good thing about this game, is the music. And I believe the music was done by the same composer, whose name, Michael... I can never say his last name because I think it's Italian, and I suck at saying Italian words. But I believe he does the music in this game as well. At least it sounds very close to it. So a lot of the same you know, motifs and things like that from 2009 Star Trek are used in this as well. So it really does feel like another movie with, you know, the cast and the music and things like that. Where this game really falters is in the gameplay, the controls, and the graphics. Let's talk about the gameplay first. It's a third-person shooter, co-op shooter. You can play online and just have it's kind of like Journey, whoever wants to join you playing this game, although I really don't know who else will be playing this game online, can join in as your co-op player, or you can have local co-op, or, you know, a private co-op where, like, say if I want Steven to play with me, he could play with me, or you could play completely offline by yourself, and the Spock character is AI controlled. Now, it would probably work a lot better if the other character was a human being playing the game, because sometimes you're running around fighting these enemies, and Spock will just stand there, and he won't fight. And it's like, we're in the middle of a firefight, dude. Pick up your gun and start shooting. And another big thing about this is, because it's like, there we go. My voice is starting to go again. Because it's a big co-op game, let's say Kirk gets knocked out. Well, you can use your tricorder, which we'll talk about in a second, to revive the other character. So Spock will come over, use his tricorder to revive you, and vice versa. So if both characters get knocked out, then it's game over. So, in a lot of respects, the AI controlling that is a little bad, especially when it glitches out, like I said earlier, and Spock's not following you, because there was a couple times I died without Spock following me, and that was it. Game over, man. So, with co-op, it probably is a lot better of a game. Like I said, the tricorder, that's sort of your detective mode, where you can scan things and see the enemies. You know, a lot of these third-person games like this have that sort of detective mode from, you know, Arkham Asylum in there. I think that was really the first game that really had that and really made it popular. And now it seems like every third-person action game has to have that in there, or otherwise it's just, you know, not up to snuff. But you can use your tricorder to do that, interact with you know, various things in the environment, scan things. Where this game really falls apart is the controls, and the controls are super loose, and sometimes when you press a button, your character just doesn't do anything. There's been a couple times where I've ready my phaser and I'm sitting there hitting on the R1 button and just not shooting. Very kind of glitchy and buggy in that way. And for a lot of people, this is not going to be a fun game. But, you know, for me and my love of this series, I'm still having fun with it, but I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of frustration with this. A lot of times when you have to make like a critical jump, you'll hit the X button to jump and your character will just run off the edge of the cliff and fall to his death. There's a lot of trial and error involved in this as well, because it doesn't really tell you what your objective is. It kind of, you know, tells you, and then it's kind of up to you to find it. And with the way the game controls, sometimes by the time you find out what you're supposed to do, you're dead and you have to respawn. So, yeah, you know, just the gameplay-wise, it's just not as tight as it could have been. Graphic-wise, there's some parts of this that are really, really good looking. Anytime the Enterprise flies by, I'm like, ooh, the Enterprise. But when you get really close into the characters and you see their uniforms and the textures on their uniforms, it's really bad. Really kind of low-res stuff. You know, with an HD game like this and sort of a big franchise name like Star Trek, you really have to go that extra mile to make it, you know, look really awesome. And when you see just like the uniform tops, which in the Abrams universe has like a delta pattern on them, the delta shields that the Star Trek, you can kind of see it there in the background, the emblem. It's kind of, that's patterned into the shirt. And when you see how muddy and just low-res that texture is in this game, it's just awful to look at. The facial animations, really the only character that looks like the character in the game is Spock. And that looks really good. But the other characters look kind of like a wax doll of who they should be. And when they talk, sometimes their mouth doesn't move. You know, it's just that kind of lack of polish, really, that really drags this game down. But, you know, all that being said, I personally am still having fun with it, but it's not something, it's not like Killer is Dead, where I basically hammered that out in 2 huge gaming sessions in one day. This is going to be something that I kind of come back to every now and then. I still haven't beat this game, by the way, but I can't really see how beating the game is going to change my opinion on it. I don't really recommend it. You know, it's like 17. I bought it for $17, and for that, I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. I feel like, but that's because I love Star Trek. Other people, you're probably not going to like it. If it gets down to like $8, I would say, yeah, pick it up. That's a good price for it. But for me, you know, it's the fun of running around the Enterprise. It's kind of like the Ghostbusters video game, where I was just running around the firehouse, and that's where I really had a lot of fun, was just exploring the firehouse. There are some times where, like, you just get to walk around the bridge, or you get to walk around the shuttle bay. I really wish that it was, like, the Enterprise was more open, and you could just kind of explore the Enterprise in this. That would be awesome. But, yeah, it's unfortunate that so far the best Star Trek game ever made was Mass Effect. And that's really the model. If they make another Star Trek game and they don't base it on the movie, that's really where they should go with it. They should really look at Mass Effect and try to emulate that more than, you know, a 2-person co-op shooter, because this isn't really what Star Trek is. It kind of fits a little bit, but and it gives you bonuses for stunning enemies instead of killing them with the kill setting. So it does kind of fit in the universe, but at the same time, remember when we used to be explorers, and I feel like Mass Effect is the best Star Trek game ever made. Other than, well, it's way up there. It's not up there. It's right there. This is another awesome Star Trek game. I like it. It's just ship combat, but I actually really like it. Star Trek Legacy. But, yeah, I'm really kind of waiting for, like, the awesome Star Trek game, which I think if BioWare got a hold of the Star Trek license and did, like, a Mass Effect type thing, it would just be astounding. But, yeah, Star Trek. Can't really recommend it unless you're a diehard fan of the new movies. Not even just Star Trek, just of the new movies, and you want to see more of that crew kind of do things. Then it's kind of fun. It's at $17 right now. I would say wait till it gets below 10 before you really explore it, because I don't want you yelling at me for wasting $17 of your money. But, yeah, so unfortunately, you know, they can't all be winners, but still having fun with it. And it kind of goes to show you that even though games are reviewed badly, you can still have fun with them if you go into them with low expectations and the right frame of mind. So that was my discussion on Star Trek. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.